Okay, so I read this week that Fox News is now the number one channel in prime time, not just among news channels, among all channels. That's that's pretty astounding from someone who remembers when TV was like 9 channels. That among all channels, including the entertainment ones, this is what people are watching. And I think it was 63% of the people who get most of their news from Fox say that Trump has done an excellent job fighting COVID. When he loses the election, if he does, these people are not going to believe it. And I remember asking probably both of you, I know I asked you, Mayor Pete, what are you going to do when he doesn't go away? And back then, everyone was laughing me off. And now, of course, everyone is kind of like saying, yeah, what are we going to do? And they've gone right to baking it into the cake that he's not going to leave. And my point was always, we need to get people on the record now. Now, you have to get the people on the record saying, this can't happen. So what are your positions on that?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is one of the reasons why we've got to hold his protectors and his enablers accountable. One of the extraordinary things after that Lafayette Square episode, where he basically politicized the military, was that military leaders who were involved realized that that was wrong and apologized. Whether we're talking about our institutions like the military or whether we're talking about elected officials, everybody needs to make clear now that there needs to be that orderly and peaceful transition of power. I think a lot of people used to roll their eyes every 4 years when the inauguration's going on and the commentators talk about the transition of power because it seems so something we ought to be able to take for granted. But this president doesn't care about any democratic norm. Why would he care about this one? To me, the only real solution to that is to make sure that it's not even close. An election with this president shouldn't even be within arguing distance. It shouldn't even be within cheating distance.
But shouldn't the Democratic Party be able to win by one vote, just like the Republican Party? Why are there always two rules for these two parties? We shouldn't have to win big. This is America. We should just have to be able to win. One vote should do it. Bush won by 537 in Florida, and they gave it to him. I feel like we're moving the goalpost.
Right? I mean, look, I remember being in high school, learning about the Electoral College and thinking, well, that's a quirky thing, but if it ever actually overruled the American people, I'm sure they'd get rid of it the next day. It's happened twice since then. And if we want to call ourselves a democratic country, it's got to go. Now, the only way to do that is a constitutional amendment, but there's actually a compact circulating among the states that if enough states sign on, promising to give their electoral votes to the person who wins the popular vote, it'll have the same effect. We're not going to see that happen before November. One more reason why we got to make sure it's not even close. But I do think these kinds of structural reforms that I made the case for in my campaign, whether it's the Electoral College, whether it's making sure that our fellow Americans, U.S. citizens in D.C., get a senator, making sure that Puerto Rico gets real political representation, or some of the other basic reforms that we got to do to our system and our courts. If we don't do that, then we're always going to be chasing our tail with election results that just don't reflect what the American people actually believe.
Yeah. Are either of you concerned about QAnon? If people don't know what that is, they're a crazy conspiracy theory group. They're the ones who think that Hillary Clinton was running a pedophile sex ring out of a pizza parlor in Washington, D.C. I mean, it's on that level. And now, it started on the internet, then it migrated, of course, to right-wing radio and stuff like that. And now we're seeing people, QAnon people, in Congress. Someone won the primary in Georgia. There's going to be a Republican congresswoman who's a QAnon person. They believe a satanic ring of pedophilia fans are running the world, and reptilians and stuff like that. What do we do about that, or can we do anything about that?
Well, one feature of the internet and the way people are getting information now, Bill, is that negative sentiment and conspiracy theories now spread more virulently and effectively. Where if you remember, and you and I are old enough to remember the days before the internet, if you had someone with some crackpot theory, they couldn't find someone else, like they were in the town square,
right,
or whatnot. But now they can connect with each other, and this is a feature. This is here to stay. This is something that we need to get our arms around as a society, because it's going to get worse when you have deep fakes and you're able to present compelling videos of you, me, and Pete doing things that we never did. And there's going to be this real question of what is truth in that kind of era, especially now when we're all sort of interacting via video. I mean, we take this video as truth and we're having this conversation, but then, if there, you can present another video that says something else. So this is something that to me is fundamental to a functioning democracy, that we are decades behind the curve in terms of regulating or figuring out or governing what the rules are in terms of hate speech online, in terms of formation of various online communities. And it's getting more and more dangerous over time. It's only going to continue to get more dangerous as time goes on.
I think there's one other thing. I agree with all of that. I think there's one other thing going on. Look, conspiracy theories are actually nothing new. I mean, you can go all the way back to the 1790s and find conspiracy theories about the Illuminati. It's just something that's part of America. What's unusual is for it to have this much power, for a conspiracy group to have an ally in the White House or a member in Congress. But I think part of the appeal, especially right now, these groups, if you just look at the way they work, their little codes and stickers and logos, is they're offering a kind of membership. I think they're speaking to a sense of belonging that people are looking for anywhere they can find it.
Yep.
And if we don't build real sources of community, including right around us at a local level, then really dark and creepy and harmful things will come in to fill that void. And I think we're seeing that right now.
Yeah, I think that's very true.